You're listening to the Grit to Growth podcast. Real talk with real business owners and professionals who built their freedom the hard way and now want more time, money, and impact.
Hello and welcome back to the show. My name is Levi Te Slaa, and joining me today is my guest, Dr. Lornell Hansen from Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Dr. Hansen is the medical director of Laser Derm and the owner of the Physicians Vein Clinics. He's been practicing medicine for over 20 years and now dedicates 100% of his time to helping patients through advanced laser procedures, skincare treatments, and the latest in aesthetics. Dr. Hansen, welcome to the show.
Well, thanks for having me, Levi.
Yeah, we appreciate you taking time out of your busy day to come be with us. So why don't we start at the beginning? How did you get started in medicine?
Well, I started medical school at the University of South Dakota in 1990. So I've been around this area for a long time. Then finished medical school in 94, did family practice residency in Sioux Falls from 94 to 97. Then I owed some time to the Air Force. I was on an Air Force scholarship for medical school. So I owed them 3 years. And then I moved back to South Dakota with my wife and my two children in 2000. And then we've been back here since. Originally worked for Sioux Valley back in the day.
Yeah.
And then back in 2006 actually in 2003, at the very tail end, started Laser. And then after a couple of years, I transitioned from family medicine out to all just simply this stuff and did some acute care and some moonlighting so that I could help pay for the business because it's an expensive business to be in.
Yes, absolutely.
The average laser in my facility is somewhere between $100,000 and $200,000 each. So it takes a little bit of capital, and I just paid for everything as I went. And then in 2008, I had a gentleman ask me if I wanted to learn vein stuff, and so I would go over to Mankato, unpaid, by the way, for a year. I'd go over every other Friday and Saturday to learn veins from him. And then in 2008, basically, I stopped doing all family medicine and started doing all my own stuff. And then in 2011, he had a clinic in Sioux Falls with me, and then I bought him out in 2011, started Physicians Vein Clinics. And then since then, I have bought all of his practices plus a few others. So right now we've got vein practices in Sioux Falls, Sioux City, Sioux Center, probably your stomping grounds.
Yep.
And then
Northwest Iowa.
You got Watertown, then up in Fargo, North Dakota, and then also Aurora, Illinois, and 6 clinics up in Minneapolis, and 3 clinics in Pennsylvania. And then for Laser, we've got a clinic in Chandler, Arizona, and then also Sioux Falls, Sioux City, Watertown, and Fargo. So We've been expanding. So I'm the whole owner of everything so far. And I kind of started, and Sioux Falls is a great place to be and a great place to really start a business.
Yeah, that's awesome. So before we get into the kind of expansion part of it, what was that? Was it not as daunting since you were kind of working your physician's job, paying for your business, jumping 100% into that? Or what was that period more like?
Yeah, it was actually, when I first started this, I originally did some research on a tumor called retinoblastoma back at the University of Southern California while I was in medical school. So I went to the University of South Dakota, but I did a summer research project out there. And it's a tumor of the eye, quite often infants and young children that get it. And so my job was to set up a laser that would help warm the tumor up so that their chemotherapeutic agents could work better. And so that's kind of where the interesting thing about lasers kind of came from, because I was using a laser to heat it up. And then what I was doing but at that point, I mean, the laser I was using weighed over a ton. And it was about 8 feet long, and it was about 3 feet wide. And I have no idea what the cost of it was. But that exact same laser now would be a tabletop.
That's
Yeah,
crazy.
it's changed immensely. But then in 2003, lasers started to become, 2000, lasers started becoming more portable and
Mhm.
also started becoming a little bit more affordable so that it wasn't quite as tough as it had been. The only ones who could afford it are big hospital systems, things like that. So I got an interest in there and started developing it. And I always thought that it would just be a little sideline business. I thought I would still be doing family medicine. But as it grew, so what I did is I stayed doing family medicine for a few years, and I would work my Thursday and my supposed day off, and then I'd work on Saturday. And so I was working
Practicing a little grit.
exactly. I was 6 days a week. I did take Sundays off. But of course, Sundays were also educational, so I was trying to learn as much as I possibly could at
Yep.
that point. Right, reading any journal that I could find or any books or information that I could get. And so then in 2000, or so then we continued to grow, and then I switched over from family medicine in 2006, and from 2006 to 2008 did acute care. So I would work Wednesday night, Thursday night, Friday night, all day Saturday and all day Sunday, and then I would work in my clinic on Monday through Friday. So again, 7 days a week. So,
Yeah.
and all the money that I made out of the clinics always went right
It's
back
going
into
right
it.
back into. Yep.
Exactly. So that allowed me the transition so that I could still keep my family supported and stuff because my wife did stay home with her children, which was a
Okay.
godsend. I mean, I still to this day think that's a godsend. So she was able to stay home with our children for 17 years.
That's
Um,
amazing.
yeah, and it is, and it's still amazing. I've got one daughter who is becoming a general surgeon, one who works in a nuclear, as a kind of somewhat of a nuclear engineer, and one who's a dental assistant. So they've all done well, and I'm always really
Very good.
proud of them. So, but then it was the transition in 2008. Started doing the vein stuff, and then in 2011. Started my own practice or physicians vein clinics, and then we've expanded that. So yeah, it's been kind of a fun route to go. I actually do pay myself now.
You've allowed yourself that luxury finally,
Yeah.
huh? Put in
Yes.
enough hours that you
Yeah.
decided it was time to get a little something out
Yes.
of it.
Yeah.
I
So there's still
love it.
60-hour weeks, but
Yeah.
most weeks, if not more, but it's still fun. I really do. My favorite thing is patient care. I like the business side of things too. The part I hate about the most is insurance companies.
Yeah. I can only
So
imagine that's a tough part in your line of work.
yes,
Tough part
it's
in anyone's line of work,
yes,
but
yes.
especially yours.
Yes. So we have to deal with them on a regular basis and we have to fight with them a lot too, So that's been an issue. But that's probably my least favorite part of everything.
What would you say your kind of split is nowadays between the business side of things and the practice side of things?
Well, generally I see patients 40 hours a week. Right now it's a little bit slower. That's how I'm able to meet today. During the summer, it's always a little slower. People
Yeah.
don't want to wear compression stockings, and there's a lot of laser work that we don't do or don't do as much of during the summer. So, but generally it's 40 to 40 plus hours a week of patient care, plus at least another anywhere from 10 to 30 hours generally for, business stuff.
Okay, very good. As you expand, do you think that part of it is going to keep increasing for you, or do you look to bring on team members to kind of start handling that stuff?
I actually already do have team members. We've been building that over time, because that's always been the goal is to continue to grow, and not just be stagnant. This was
Yeah.
never just about me, because if it was just about me, I could have stopped doing stuff a long time ago. We currently have, I believe it's 71 employees as of next Monday.
Oh
We have
wow.
two new ones starting next Monday. And so we are planning to continue to grow. We've changed a little bit of our structure. We were a little more top down, and now we're trying to get more managers in the clinics themselves to have them
Okay.
make decisions, and then we oversee it. I think that's going to be a better choice. I think to give
If you want to
manage.
scale.
You
Yep.
got it exactly. If we want to scale as well as if we want to get the opportunities within each clinic and give people a chance, and give the right people a chance.
Very good. So, in your 20 plus years of practice, what's one of the biggest challenges you face and what did it teach you?
Well, I hate
Too
to say it,
many
the
things
biggest,
come to mind.
well, no, I mean, the biggest challenge, of course, is the insurance companies.
Yeah.
But, it really is, it comes down to there's lots of little things. Hire the right people, right? It's, slow to hire, quick to fire. I've learned that, but that's a hard thing to learn because I'm also a very passionate person about people.
Yeah.
And I hate the idea of actually causing harm to anybody. So if you have to let somebody go because they're not the right person or they've caused troubles, it actually is emotionally difficult. I would say that's probably one of my hardest things to deal with. But I have learned over the last few years that it's also a necessary component, as you said, as you scale, you got to really have the right people in the right seats going the right direction, right?
Yeah, I think that's maybe, like you said, it's a tough thing for you, but it's not a bad characteristic to have someone
Hmm.
who's passionate and caring.
Yeah.
I totally understand from why it's difficult on you as a leader. So, I wanted to ask you a little bit. Some people, when they hear about like aesthetic medicine and things like that, they think it's purely cosmetic. But how do you see it impacting your patients, their confidence, and overall well-being?
We have we always kind of approach it, from the standpoint, do you get your hair cut? Do you get your hair styled? Do you get your hair colored for women? That kind of stuff. And the answer is yes. And why do you do that? To help with that confidence, right?
Absolutely.
Because we all age, and it's one of those things. And for us, it's not about making you, if you're a 65 or 70-year-old woman, it is absolutely not trying to make you look like a 20-year-old because it never works and it
Yep.
never looks good. So my feeling is that I look at patients and I want them to look better and have their help with that, help them decide what's the best route for them to go. But I also don't want them to have what we call the done look, meaning that you can look at them immediately, know that they have had a lot of stuff done.
Hmm.
What I look at for me is it's a compliment to me when somebody goes out and they see their friends and their friends would go, "Did you get a new haircut?" Or do you have new makeup? Or that's a
Something's
compliment to
different.
me.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
know there's something different, but they can't immediately know what it is. But it's a nice subtle thing. They look more rested, that kind of stuff. And a lot of times they do. It helps with their confidence. I hate to say it, but men have it a little easier than women
Yep.
when it comes to this world, right? But we do see a fair amount of men.
What
There's
what is that kind
competition.
of
You
what
know,
is that
around
split look like?
around here, you got to remember we offer tattoo removal. so
Yes.
so we
I
offer
bet.
laser
Yeah.
tattoo removal, and that's probably about 70 60 70% men doing
Okay.
that. But when we talk about things like Botox, things like that, I would probably say it's between 5 and 10%.
Yeah.
So our big picture is primarily female, but there are more and more men coming in for things like that. The world is competitive, right? You have gentlemen who are in their 40s and 50s who feel like they look a little older than what they are, and of course what they feel. I mean, you're not at this point yet. I mean, when I was turning 40, people would say, "Oh, it just goes downhill from there." I totally disagree. Then I heard, oh, 50, and everything starts to go to pot. I have not seen that yet, and I'm now 61, and so I
A
don't
lot of
see
it's
it that way.
lifestyle stuff,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
there's yes, there's definitely a lot of that's lifestyle, but really inside I still feel like I'm in my 30s or 40s, and I think that's what a lot of men really want is they want to be able to, look good and feel good about themselves. Sometimes they have to compete with a little younger guy, for the job.
Yep.
So having yourself look a little bit less mature, but I hate to say it, but maturity for men is actually not necessarily viewed as a bad thing unless you look too old.
Yep. That's why it's touch of gray, right?
Yes, touch of gray. Although you can see with me, there's more of it.
That's a silver fox, right?
There you go.
That's awesome. Yeah, good. Thank you for clearing that up. I think yeah, like I said, a lot of people just see it as one thing, but
Right.
there's a whole other side.
Right.
What kind of trends do you see shaping the future then in your line of work, let's say in the next 5 years here?
Well, I think we're going to, really right now, I would say in the last 3 to 5 years, we haven't seen any like really off the wall, great new products or anything like that. There's been a lot of products that maybe have advanced little bits by little bit, maybe a new filler that maybe fills in a niche a little bit better. The dermal fillers. Botox now
Mhm.
has a few more competitors. There's a new one that just came out called Latibo, which is can be less expensive for patients. So we're bringing that on.
Okay.
So there's different things like that. There's a new, it's really not a filler, but it's a biostimulant that can tell your body to produce fat, and it's called Alloclay. We're bringing that on as well. It's only available to very limited groups of physicians. And what it does is it induces the body to produce fat. Um, and as we age, we start in our 20s, we actually start losing fat in our face. And as we
Uh-huh.
age, we lose it in certain areas of our body. So we're bringing that on, like for women. And I don't know if you're familiar with this, but what's called a hip dip, it's kind of that area just above the hip. So they've got kind of an indentation that they don't like. And so they want to
Okay.
add a little bit more volume to that. Believe it or not, it can be used in the breasts. And so there's some various options like that that are starting to come up. The laser and energy devices, I think we're going to see a lot of Me Too products, meaning that there's going to be more companies jumping into it because right now the economy is doing fairly well.
Yep.
So there's a lot of companies out there trying to jump into the laser and energy devices. I think we're going to see some. I don't see anything as a huge home run. There's some couple of new products that I'm looking at right now. One can help speed up tattoo removal process as well as work on cellulite, because cellulite's kind of a tough one. It really is. There's no home run for it at this point. So I think that there's going to be some continued advances along those lines.
I saw you guys do the cold sculpting. Does
Yep.
that help with the cellulite? Is that what or
No, cold sculpting is it freezes the fat, but in my opinion, doesn't really benefit the cellulite. The cellulite
okay.
is actually fibrous tissues and how they attach to the skin, especially for women. Women have a much higher incidence of cellulite, and in theory, it's the direction in which the fibers pull and pull a dent into the skin. But as we age, of course, some of that's laxity as well. So the
Yep.
skin becomes a little bit more lax. So you got to differentiate between those two. So that's kind of the cool sculpting. But we also do liposuction, and we have some other things that will tighten up the skin as well. Nowadays we're using filler to, believe it or not, improve skin tone and texture. So in the past we would have used them always to add volume, but now we're using them to actually help with skin tone and texture. I had a patient in today, and she didn't like her arms. She's gotten a little bit older. She's in her early 70s, and she just doesn't like the laxity of the skin in her arm. And so we're going to actually try and add some volume, but primarily get the skin to respond to what are called
Okay.
biostimulants. In this case, we're going to use one called Radius. And what it does is it goes right underneath the skin, induces the body to produce collagen, but also there's some hormonal stuff that happens that we don't totally understand that will then actually stimulate the skin itself to take on a thicker appearance.
Yeah, that's very interesting. So, Dr. Hansen, if someone is considering treatments but feels kind of nervous, what advice would you give them?
Well, the biggest thing is to come in and say hi. We actually offer a free consultation. And so what that is some patients come in and all they want is laser hair removal. They don't want to talk about anything else. Then we
Hmm.
have people who want to come in and talk about everything, which can be a little bit daunting because they get so
Where
much
to start?
information. Yeah, well, for them, because they get so much information and it's a lot of times new terminology for them. And so they get confused. So we really like to limit it to two or three. And really, the biggest goal of the first meeting is to make sure that you feel comfortable with us, with me, my staff. That's the most important piece of that because we don't look at these as a short-term gain for us. We try to make it a long-term benefit for the patient. That's always our goal. Is the patient always is centered number one. I
Very
always tell
good.
my staff it's that laser is number one. I'm sorry, patient is number one, laser is number two, and then we're number three, and that even includes me. so that I'm held at the same standard and same level as they are. But our goal is just to always make patients happy. I mean, I wish I could say we were 100% perfect at that, but that's next to impossible. So,
Yep, it's always the goal, but never achievable.
yeah,
Very good. Well, I've got a list of some rapid fire questions for you
sure.
to wrap this up. Don't think too long on them. They can be as short or as long as you want them to be. So let's start with, what's your favorite way to spend a weekend when you're not working or managing your business?
To be honest with you, it's with my wife.
Very good. Well, is there a specific activity that you guys like?
It's all over the place. I love cars and stuff like that, but it's kind of, to be honest, with you, just hanging out. I mean, sometimes it's just doing chore, doing,
Yeah,
like grocery shopping, some of those types of things. Running to Costco, doing those things and stuff, and then of course going to church on Sunday. That's again, we've been married 31 years now, and she's the person I wanted to spend my time with. So, and then I
that's
have little
great.
hobbies like cars and stuff like that too, and business.
All right, that will lead me to the next one. What's your favorite car?
Well, I'm kind of a Porsche 911 fanatic.
Nice.
Yeah, nice price. You can actually get into it at a decent price, although they're shooting up. But yeah,
Yep.
so the Porsche 911.
Is there a
Um,
certain year you like of them, or?
well, I wouldn't mind having a new GT3 RS, but
Yeah. There the price gets a little more.
yeah, the price gets a little steep. I don't own one of those. So, but no, they're a great car, and believe it or not, the Porsche is actually a car that has the best resale across the market.
Mhm.
Yeah, so
I was gonna say
nowadays,
that was a very car guy answer, is
yeah,
choosing that. So very
you can buy
great.
you can buy a car, drive it for 3 years, and sell it for more than you paid for it.
Yep.
It's one of the
That's not.
few.
That's yeah, few and far between in that world.
Yeah.
What's one leadership lesson that you've learned from running your businesses?
Um, I think it again goes back to hiring the right people and making sure that the team is the right group and the right team together. I've had some missteps through the years, and if you own a business, I guarantee you've made a misstep.
Yep.
So it's really recognizing that as soon as you can, because I have had some people that didn't have the best interest of the clinic at heart,
Hmm.
and have damaged it.
How about a book, podcast, or resource that had a big impact on you?
Considering I don't watch any horse racing, uh, trying to think back. I'm so horrible about reading books. I hate to say this. Everybody always laughs at me, but if I'm reading journals, leadership stuff like that. And so I really don't have a specific book.
That's all
So
right.
yeah,
I'm sure you did more than enough reading back when you were first going to school and everything.
yeah,
Yeah, I think you got your fair share down there.
yeah.
I'll end it then with if you had to pick one technology or treatment that's changed your industry the most, what would it be?
Well, I would probably have to say Botox. I mean, and the reason being, and now I have to add the other ones like Dysport and Xeomin and stuff, but really Botox was the
Yeah.
first one to market, right? So they've got a huge market share, but it made things available to the masses is really what it did. And it has good results, but it's not excessively expensive like some stuff has been in the past. So that's probably what I would say is the number one thing. I mean, yes, there's lots of other laser technologies and stuff like that, but I think that's what got people thinking about it. Because we have young girls come in that have little lines across their forehead and they don't want those to form over time. And I'm talking
Hmm.
17 years old, 18 years old, and they don't want those. So we just use a real light amount of Botox in there. Some will come in for flips, but then we use Botox up into patients in their 80s, so yeah, it's just been one of those things that I think opened it up to the masses as far as a group. It's kind of a little bit like Ford, right?
Yeah. There you go. And forgive me, so obviously I don't know this world very well, but there's more benefits to Botox than just the aesthetic side of things,
Oh
correct?
yeah. Oh yeah, it can be used for hyperhidrosis, which is the armpit sweating. It can be
Hmm.
used on the hands and the feet, and it can be used for esophageal spasms. It can be used for bladder spasms. I mean, it can now they're starting to use it a little bit kind of in the colon as well, because there's lots of things that it's being developed for, like if you've ever seen like cerebral palsy children, that have really
Yeah.
spastic arms and stuff like that, it can be used to relax that spasticity. So there's and used for migraines even today. So
That's
it's
the one
got
that I heard
right.
recently was the migraines. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's used for lots of different things, and I think that's going to continue to grow. I have no idea of the cosmetic side versus the prescription side or the medical side for the company that makes Botox is more. I don't know. I'm not sure, but I mean it plays a role in a lot of things.
Very interesting. Well, if there's listeners that like to learn more, where would you send them to?
Well, they can call the clinic, at 605-275-6128. Have to think about that because we have multiple clinics, so I have to think I'm in Sioux Falls. But then the easiest way is to get to the website, which is www.laserderm.com. Or if they're interested in the vein side, which is they have varicose veins or pain, aching, heaviness, swelling, restlessness in their legs, cramping, those types of things, they can contact us through physiciansveinclinics.com.
Very good. Well, Dr. Hansen, thank you for sharing your expertise and insight today. If you want to learn anything more about it, please seek out him and his team for their knowledge. And thank you for everyone for listening, and we'll see you on the next one.
It was great meeting you, Levi.
Know someone with serious grit and a great growth story? Send them our way at grittogrowthpodcast.com/guest.